So hi folks, Alex Forrest vlogging to you on a actually beautiful Thursday morning in Warsaw, Poland. I really do love September in Warsaw when the sun comes out. We've got these lovely, slow, languid, summery days. It doesn't get too dark at night, the clocks haven't changed. And I think it's just the magic month for enjoying the weather as well as for enjoying a little bit of daytime approach and dating. I think the first thing to say is, and this goes for so much of kind of like the dating journey, the steps on the dating journey, it applies to all stages. Okay, now on the street you will know, if you've watched my daytime approach series, ka-ching, you've been plugged by my book, you bastards, too late mate, that observation is quite critical to actually opening up a conversation with a girl and taking away that sense of not knowing what to say. And I think on the street, the immortal lines are when you've initially approached a girl and you've expressed interest in her and complimented her, is to use the bridge of what I noticed about you is. Now that can be used for the texting, yeah, after a good after a great conversation in the street, you're texting. You know, you can use that touchstone, what I noticed about you, to refer back to something interesting about her on the date. For example, I had a conversation with a girl 2 days ago now, and she had a denim dress, was chewing gum, looked a bit Wild West. So, you know, the texting was able to echo back what had happened during the conversation on the street. So the same is true of dating. Now here's the thing, you do have to learn to be a little bit of a raconteur. Now there are different styles, yeah. Some guys got the sort of suave, silent, confident, mysterious thing going. They, you know, maybe that's just their nature and they don't say much, and that can actually work extremely well if you think that that is congruent with your nature, okay? But I think I will qualify that by saying that the thing about daytime approaches, it's not like a nighttime approach. Yeah? If you're in a bar or a club late at night, that's a whole different kind of skill set. And often it won't necessarily involve much conversation. It may involve far more, you know, physical presence, confidence, sort of status, and so on. And that is so that's a kind of a different ball game. You can get away with not saying much, basically. But where a daytime approach is concerned, particularly obviously when you're at the beginning of a first date, you are going to have to use your conversation skills, my friend. There's no way around it. So if you are one of those guys who thinks, oh, was never very good at public speaking, well, you know, it's not rocket science. You don't have to say too much. This is just to keep the wheels oiled, to break the ice. And you don't do it by asking about her job. You don't do it about talking about religion, philosophy. You definitely don't do it by talking about the coronavirus, yeah, or Black Lives Matter. Steer clear of all those topics. Remember, this is a little bit of a fantasy, romantic journey, a bubble, as it were, and you want to be doing something completely not, you know, related to current political issues, yeah, and nor do you want to be talking about yourself a lot. You do want to be talking about yourself. I'll come on to that in a later vlog when I touch on the issue of telling stories and how to tell good stories. Now look, you know, try going on a Toastmasters course, get a little bit of confidence in public speaking, try a bit of stand-up. Do what it takes to start to exercise that conversational muscle where you are happy to put yourself out there a bit and to, you know, make a little mini speech, have a little mini conversation, do it in the mirror, do it in a camera, have a YouTube channel, get an interview with someone who's running a YouTube channel, get those conversational wheels oiled. Now, observation is your great friend. Yeah, this is the silver bullet of dating wisdom as far as dealing with breaking the ice. Yeah. So I'll just come on to, you know, a few classic examples of this. And date 4, 52 first dates, which goes into this topic of observation in greater detail, was a really interesting date because it was an instant date, in fact, rather than a first date, a long instant date. And she was quite gauche. I wouldn't say she was shy or nervous particularly. She was a 30-something professional, sharply dressed, a little bit traditionally dressed, and we sat across the table from each other and we kind of didn't know quite what to say. I usually do know what to say, so I was quite disarmed. And so here's the thing, in that situation I managed to pick up on the retro look. In fact, that's how I had originally approached her in a shopping centre, was actually by saying to her, you look quite distinctive. You've got this kind of retro, I don't know, sort of 20s, 30s look. You're smartly dressed. I like it. Always remember that the girl that will often be confused as to whether or not you're paying a compliment or not. She'll kind of like what you're saying, but she'll want to know, is it a compliment? So add I like it if ever you say anything a bit challenging. And, you know, you remind me a little bit of Claude Colbert from It Happened One Night, that Oscar winner in the 30s. Maybe it was the 30s, maybe it was the 20s, maybe it was the 50s, I can't remember, but she won't know. Black and white movie. Now that is an observation that I explored a little bit more on the date, yeah, and got onto the topic of old classic black and white movies and how she seemed a professional, how she, you know, looked a little bit as if she was perhaps an only child because she had this confidence about her. And, you know, I don't know, are you interested in black and white movies of the 20s and 30s? Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers? I'm guessing you probably are, aren't you? Because you certainly look like someone who's walked onto the set of a Frank Capra movie. So that's all you kind of need to do, is kind of make this observation that then leads into an assumption that you can then riff on. You need to learn to riff a little, and you just need to let your mind run free. You'll be amazed how, you know, the experience of when you are lost for words but you just go over to a girl anyway and you discover that the words are there. If you just make a little effort to riff on a topic off the back of an observation, the universe will provide you, you know, further things to ask, further assumptions to make. Okay, of course, the other very helpful thing about observation is it's not asking questions necessarily, and that's something, questions are a very closed way of having a conversation, particularly at an early stage of a date. It's far better to make these sorts of assumptions. What other assumptions can you make? Well, talking from my own experience, the retro look is a great one. Talking about girls, they remind me of a pimp scene with Huggy Bear in Starsky and Hutch. It's kind of really funky and kooky, referencing back to TV of the 70s, 80s. Wild West is a good one. She's got boots, yeah, she's got a hat. Jewellery is a good one. I often find myself going into you've got this kind of a smouldering Moroccan, I don't know, Saudi Arabian kind of Arabian Nights type smouldering kind of vibe about you. It's very interesting. And your jewellery, and here's where conversation, observation and assumptions can work as a friend in terms of spiking up a date, doing a little bit of intimacy and a little bit of touching. Is, you know, I will often find myself, when I see the girl is going with it and interested, I will often take a look at her earrings and put my hand up And if she's got an interesting set of earrings, make some topic about it. Perhaps she's on the run, having burgled a Saudi prince's palace, and she's smuggling royal jewels out of the country. But look how it's a little bit fun and cheeky. You are using the observation whilst you're perhaps touching her earring, perhaps playing with her hair, seeing how interested she is in physical intimacy, which is obviously important to kind of test the water for that during the course of a date. If it's not going away, if she pulls away, obviously you completely roll off. But you see how, once again, this observational technique can lead you to making these assumptions, can then lead you into physical intimacy, a little bit of hand holding. Another assumption might be you think she's a musician. She's got musician's fingers. I kind of noticed that about you when we first met. I think you probably play the banjo. I can see you playing the banjo. And see your hands, and you take her hands. Yeah, and if she lets you, great. Physical touching can help break the ice. Often a lot more than conversation. It shows warmth, it shows genuine interest and affection and attraction that you're feeling towards the girl. So just to wrap up, observation, I would almost go so far as to say is like king. It's like in every walk and every dimension of life, if you can find interesting, and remember, these observations are often micro-observations. You're not making an observation that she's necessarily a lawyer. You're not making any broad sweeping statements. You're just making small interesting ones, often off the back of the way she looks. That's the only the only kind of handle you've got initially, the way she looks, to explore a little bit of the wonderful world of the imagination and fantasy. And I'll go into that more when I do a vlog on storytelling, because you can start to, once you've found these little micro nuggets, observational nuggets, and the girl is actually going with you and enjoying the nugget that you found and that you're riffing on, then it can lead you in all sorts of very interesting areas in terms of seeding an ample supply of topics, conversation topics during the course of first, second, third dates that will, never leave you feeling that dry sensation in your mouth and feeling lost for words and not knowing where to take the conversation next. Okay, now remember, you may not be a wordsmith, but that's no excuse. Everybody can get a very respectable level of, ice-breaking comments and observations and assumptions with, really a minimum of effort. I mean, look, there's a girl here. She's wearing a pink top. She's got quite big sunglasses. She's got quite a funky bag there with like a snake design, snakes, Egyptian. You look a bit like that god Osiris or whatever it is. You look a little bit like Egyptian. I like it. You've probably been on holiday, haven't you? You're probably a diver and have been out of the Red Sea and Sharm el Sheikh. In fact, you're probably connected to the Saudi royal family. You see how any situation you're faced with, an observation can be the key to unlock that conversation. You know what? If you are out and you want to approach girls, but you're feeling a bit nervous or shy, just think about something about them that interests you. It's the most powerful thing to find something that genuinely does really interest you and that you like about her. She'll feel that. But if you can't, just, assume a virtue if you have it not, and that way you'll use that little mental tool of just sort of looking at girls as you're going about your day-to-day and thinking what observation you might make. You'll find that will over time become naturalized so that you no longer need to think about it. Unconscious competence. Now, just remember that you don't want to get into a very, very long conversation at the second venue, and if you get back to her apartment and your apartment, you know, that's often the time to dial it right down. Next week, I'm going to be talking about awkward dates, that awkwardness, that sense of, oh my God, how do I deal with a girl who's saying absolutely nothing? And that's quite relevant in the respect of the date that I had in the 52 First Date dating series, date number 5, as I think you will come to see. Good, and as finally, buy my book, You Bastards, 52 First Dates, Volume 1 is out. I'm going to be bringing out Volume 2, it looks now like it's going to be in the autumn.